Hello, hello, hello. It's Wednesday. You know what time it is. It's 11 Pacific time. Wherever you are out there, you know what it is. It's time for Alpha Hippie to come to the Winject community and bring you the juice because I'm ready to let it loose. So for most of this month, what we're really going to be focusing on, first last week, if you were available or saw what we spoke about, was about breathing and how important that is in our lives. And I even issued a breathing challenge about walking with water in your mouth and doing that. And now we're going to get into language. So much of our language, and this is what we're going to focus on the rest of the month, language affects us in so many different ways that we may not even be aware of it. And so for the rest of this month, I'm going to be focusing on each week a specific area of language that is going to bring you to a new level of awareness. And after you have some awareness, it's up to you what you really want to do with it. It's really up to anyone, really. My duty is to do my best to set enough opportunities for awareness that someone could be aware. After that, my job is basically done unless there is a further mentoring in maybe the implementation now or integration of a new awareness. Yet, for a lot of you out there, it's being presented a proper opportunity for awareness, which allows you then to bring awareness, which is nothing more than removal of ignorance, which we all have in some way, shape, or form for the rest of our lives. That's what being human is all about. And when I was unaware of my language, I was really manifesting and creating and attracting a life that was not really what I wanted. And I didn't realize that it began with my language. Our language shapes, creates the illusion of what reality really is. And what I mean by illusion of reality is someone could be nervous and excited. They're technically the same feelings. It's just what illusion of reality are you living by? Someone could be intimidating or intriguing. Depends what illusion of reality that you're living by. And so there's so many little words that we use to describe our realities when the truth is we're creating them with our words. One of my dearest friends, his name is 𝗪𝗂𝗪𝗧. He's actually what I refer to as my wordsmith Buddha, who taught me all of the language game and really brought me to a level of understanding of language that I was never really aware to. And one of his favorite words, and I still believe it's back there in those blocks behind me, is abracadabra. And now, before you think I wore a hat to pull a rabbit out of it, like most of you think this word really is, the truth is abracadabra means with my words, I will create, or I shall create. And so that's why abracadabra is there, because it is showing us and you now knowing that you are the magician, or what I like to refer to as the manifester of your life. Manifestation, I'm sure some of you have heard, vision board, secret, yada, yada. But it's a very important word. We are manifestors. We are creators of this illusion of life. Furthermore, what I like to do is play a game with myself that is believing that we are already living in a virtual reality world. right now, before all of this new future technology, I already pretend that I'm playing in a virtual reality world. And by the way I think about it, or shall I say, by the way I attach to any thoughts about it, because we all have negative or positive thoughts, yet we would not give them even a definition until we actually were attached to them. That's for Manifestation 102. We'll talk about that another day. Yet for today, it's going to be more about this simple idea. And I'd love to teach from a melodic standpoint or something quick that we could remember in our brains so that it's easier to remember, therefore easier for you to implement. And that's what I'm really after. Simple ideas being able to be implemented or applied or integrated as easy and simple as possible. Because the more that we make this complex, the more our body is going to reject. So, without further ado, today's topic is eyes help you strategize, use and wheeze bring you to your knees. So write that down. Eyes help me strategize, use and wheeze bring you to your knees. Okay, now let me explain. Oftentimes, you may hear you, or more than likely someone else. It's usually easier to be aware of someone else's behavior than it is ours. That's the 102 course. But for right now, let's just stick on this. Oftentimes, you may have heard someone say, you know, when you are in traffic, you never see ba, 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 ba. You know, when you go to the grocery store, ba, 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 ba. What's really happening is someone is projecting their experience onto you and not taking ownership of their part in the dynamic. And this is very common in the English language. You know, when you do this, you know, when you do this, you know, when you do this. The truth is, no, I don't. I don't know how someone could tell me that. So it's not, you know, when you are in traffic, there's always someone in the far lane going really slow. No, I don't. That's someone else's experience, yet they're projecting it on me. And by projecting it, what you're doing, or what someone will be doing is taking themselves out of the story, which therefore takes away the responsibility and or glory of the story. So let me explain. When someone keeps passing off use and wheeze, it does not allow them to have the power to even believe they have enough power to change the circumstance. So, you know, when you go to the grocery store and there's always a problem at the self-checkout, what if that person, because this is really what they mean. You know, when I go to the grocery store, I always experience a problem at the self-checkout aisle. So you see the difference between those two sentences? You know, when you go to the grocery store, there's always a problem at the self-checkout. That does not allow me to take responsibility and own this story. And why is that important? Because I'm going to break down the other version so that you could see this for yourself if you are a person that is doing this. And also, too, you could begin hearing and understanding someone else a lot better. And this is great for anyone that has a challenge sometimes wearing someone else's issues. This is really great if you're a coach. This is really great if you're with your partner, any sort of relationship. So let's go back. When you go to the grocery store, there's always a problem at the self-checkout aisle. Or you could say, when I go to the grocery store, there is always a problem at the self-checkout aisle. Now, is there always? So when I say when I go to the grocery store, I always experience a problem at the self-checkout aisle. So now I'm the person in the story. Now, the first thing is, I always experience a problem at the self-checkout aisle. Really? Is it always? So first of all, using that word always, you see how now I can start strategizing and taking a story that wasn't fitting to me, first taking responsibility for it. That's why I say eyes help you strategize, because now I have a chance to actually put myself in the driver's seat to work the story. So I'm going to go through it and work the story. Like I said, I always experience a problem at the self-checkout aisle. Okay, let's take a second there and unpack that. I always is a binary word. Always, never, stuff like that. This is great when you're fighting with your partner, by the way, or in a conflict with your partner. Where I come from, they're called fights. Either way, you call it what it is. Always. Is there really always a problem? Could it be often? Could it be recently? Right? So this idea that there's always a problem, let's take away that 100% and let's say, when I go to the grocery store, I consistently have a problem at the self-checkout aisle. Well, all right, let's take a look then. Now the next thing would be is, Angelo, to question myself, what do I always have a problem with, or what do I often have a challenge with? The person in front of me. Oh, well, am I in charge of the person in front of me moving faster? No. So there it is. There's one way for me to unpack that, take some stress off. Now, all of a sudden, it doesn't happen always, so it's not so pressuring. Number two, I finally realized that someone else was at their own pace and I'm not in control of them. Or it could be now me looking at, well, when do I go to the grocery store? When I'm in a rush. And then when I'm in a rush, it seems that everyone else is in the way. So what if I gave myself more time to go to the grocery store, or I began thinking of time slots that the grocery store was less populated? Maybe instead of going grocery shopping on a Saturday, I can begin going grocery shopping on a Tuesday to avoid this type of cluster at the self-checkout. Bottom line is, to recap, do you guys see now? Eyes help you strategize. Yous and we's bring you to your knees. Be careful. Be aware. Be aware. Be a witness to how you're projecting, or you may be projecting your experience onto others. And now be aware if someone else is projecting their experience on you. It's not important for you to bring it up to them that they're projecting their experience, because they may not be ready to hear this. Yet it's important for you as the audience of them to understand now and develop better empathy about where they're even at. Because if I'm a coach and someone keeps projecting their experience on me, they're usually in denial of their own experience. So how well am I going to coach someone if they are in complete denial of their experience? Not well, because they're not going to be in a place of openness. So when you're not in openness, you're hopeless. So please start using little things like this to bring awareness to your own language first, and then also to others, so we could develop a deeper sense of empathy for ourselves and for others. And keep in mind, empathy in action is called consideration. Okay? Empathy in action is consideration. So when someone comes to you and they're in this frazzled state, you can now hear what they're really going through, and you could be more empathetic and even more considerate of who's in front of you, because you are understanding more and more about them and where they really are in their lives, especially as to the situation that they may describe. Take your time with this. This is not an easy thing. The language game is the game, yet it requires contemplation and not thinking, the removing of reactivity and moving to responding. That is why I began this month with first focusing on your breath, because if you cannot breathe, you will fall to be reactive. You will fall to old habits, and there's no one to blame besides you. Now, blaming is not a bad thing. Take your responsibility. Do not linger in your mistake for longer than you have to. Laugh it off and get back in the game. We all miss. We all take steps back. It's not if, it's a matter of when. The important thing is you have a new awareness tool to put in your pocket. This will make you a better communicator. When you could communicate with yourself better, you see reality more clear for what it is. You create a better reality for yourself. You connect to people both personally and in your business better than you have before, because you develop a deeper sense of empathy, which allows you to be a better connector and allows you to consider other people in a better way, a more empathetic way, which will lead you to everything that you really want. Start with considering yourself, and then it'll ripple into considering others. Eyes help you strategize. Use and wheeze bring you to your knees. See you next week, my Winject community. Much love. Alpha Hippie out.
This broadcast is brought to you by Winject Studios. We are an all-in-one educational platform for podcasters that revolutionizes how hosts leverage content to increase engagement with listeners, downloads, and income. We come together to focus on community, collaboration, and collective impact. For more information on how you can interact directly with our hosts, access exclusive live content with offers you can't get anywhere else from our official partners, join our purpose-driven community by visiting www.winject.com. If you're ready to build a career doing what you love, then we're ready to see you there.